Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Do you want the whole truth?
I don't think you're ready.
Governments don't control things. A government can't control the economy without controlling people.
It's Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth.
Well, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Glad you're here. Happy Tuesday to you. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth, proudly on AFR Talk. And let's get right to it. I always say that we can never have too much of a good thing, which is why sometimes I get sick on pizza night. That's another story. Seriously and sincerely, Phil Robertson, happy of Duck Dynasty. A video is released by CNS News, or at least picked up by CNS News this morning. And Duck Dynasty is a program on A&E. They are a family that has created a duck call in the family business, and just a wonderful group. If you don't know who Duck Dynasty or what Duck Dynasty is, say it 5 times, Crane, then just check them out online and go to the American Family Radio Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth page, and you'll pick up on it. Wonderful family, just a great bunch of guys with these great beards. Anyway, the head of the family is Phil Robertson. And the video that was released today was of him, what it looks like he's giving a sermon. And he's talking about our founding fathers and asking if, as they were quite religious, and pointing that out and giving examples of George Washington and the like of being religious, and they must have been, he jokingly refers to them, or they were just religious extremists or something along those lines. But here, he takes direct aim at what has happened in the last, over 150 years, certainly, plus, 200 plus, to life and the unborn. In just a short period of time, relatively for our country, here is Pastor Phil Robertson. Roll it.
It didn't take us 150 years. We start ripping babies out of wombs. They should have listened to Thomas Jefferson. You have a God-given right to live inside your mother. Come on! To debate whether it's right or wrong, to rip you out of your mother's womb when you're about that long. Listen, from the time you started inside your mother's womb, Thomas Jefferson had it right. You have a God-given right to live, for crying out loud. You're this long. You're a week old inside your mother. They sucked you out of there when you're about like that. You wouldn't be here tonight. And when you got about the size of my thumb, they sucked you out. You wouldn't be here. Then you grew a little bigger, like my fist. And finally, 8, 9 months later, you come out. And we debate whether it's some woman has the right to tear you out of there a piece at a time? Come on! You have a God-given right to live, and of all places inside your mother. What in the world happened to us?
Great question. We ask it a lot. Well, when we take God out, that's what fills the void, and it's not pleasant. It's the rationalization of evil, and even calling evil good. The bottom of the hour, we're going to be speaking to Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is going to respond to some of the things that have been said on MSNBC. Well, that's a pretty wide range of topics. Well, there have been stories about how at 20 weeks the baby doesn't feel pain, or what they would say the fetus, the cosmic goo, whatever they want to call it, the life, we call it because we know it, bottom line, doesn't feel pain. Ben Johnson, U.S. Bureau Chief, LifeSite News, and Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth guest host. Bottom of the hour, we'll answer that question. We'll also be covering some of the recent decisions of people who are ruling on the type of therapy one can receive. Yeah, Chris Christie. Yes, we'll get to that. So, LifeSite News, bottom of the hour. Ben Johnson. Now, shifting to the press and David Gregory meet the press, there's a theme, and they're not going to let it go. And we talk about it, I think, ad nauseum, quite frankly. And it's about race and how Republicans, and that would be conservatives, not always the same thing, but are racist, in essence. Trayvon Martin was just an innocent victim who was shot, and without context, of course. And while it is absolutely tragic and sad, he was bashing the head of one George Zimmerman against the ground. The reason I talk about that is because there's an attempt to rewrite history every day, and I'm telling you, it would be funny in the sense of some very awful humor to say how ridiculous it is, but they are trying to do this. They, the mainstream media, because they're out of ideas and they have a record of failure. That would be liberals in power. That's the bottom line. Nothing but truth. So in order to escape that, they've got to cling. They cling to the racist charge of conservatives and specifically Republicans. David Gregory, speaking on the program this week, this past Sunday, asked Democratic Congressman Donna Edwards about the I Have a Dream speech. She happens to be black. And Rich Lowry was also on. It's the anniversary of the speech coming up. So here's David Gregory, and listen to Rich Lowry's reply to what he is, I believe, implying. At least I inferred it. Roll it.
We're coming up on an anniversary that is going to give the president an opportunity to highlight some presidential leadership moment. We're talking about the anniversary of the March on Washington. Coming up on August 28th, that's where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., of course, made his I Have a Dream speech. President Obama going to recreate that moment, in effect, on the Washington Mall. How significant is it? Rich Lowry, does he use any part of this as a way to challenge Republicans to try to jumpstart something in his second term on inequality, on the economy?
I doubt it. It would sort of be an inappropriate forum for that, I would think.
How about jump-starting what Dr. King was talking about and calling out the race hustlers who've hijacked the incredible legacy, the great legacy of the civil rights movement, and have used that memory, that blood, to gain financially, to, in essence, sell their form of soft bigotry, of low expectations and double standards. How about that? How about not pointing to race, but behavior in the breakdown of the American family? I'm not trying to come off as harsh. I'm just telling it like it is. And when you do that, you're called a lot of names, and I get that. But I want you to know that as we get closer to the election in 2014, what you're going to hear is nothing but racism charges. That's all you're going to hear, because how else do you defend a record like the left has? They can't even decide if it's a coup in Egypt. They don't really want to decide if it's a coup in Egypt. However, they do want Mohamed Morsi to be released. Roll it.
The legal proceedings against former President Mubarak are something that's ongoing inside of Egypt. That is an Egyptian legal matter and something that I'll leave for them to determine. And it's not something that I'm going to weigh in on from here. But something that we have weighed in on, something that I've said previously, but other senior administration officials have also said, that politically motivated detentions inside Egypt should end. And that certainly would include the politically motivated detention of former President Morsi.
Some would call it the fact that the Muslim Brotherhood is at war with the military and has been at war with the Christians, and the only people that would be stepping up for the Christians would be the military. I digress, but someone who certainly will not is Dr. Waleed Fairs. He'll be with us at the bottom of next hour, pardon. And before that, Hans von Spakovsky. We'll also bring you a Benghazi update and 4 employees that are back to work. State Department through John Kerry, Secretary of State. Buzz Jacobs joins us. But next, Fishbowl Retreat, Bert Harper.